Hey everyone, today we have a cool new timeless deck. This is less of a new deck and more of an old deck with some upgrades. This was actually my main deck that I was playing every day in ranked before MH3 dropped, and it got some really powerful upgrades in the set, so I'm going to first go over the old version of the deck before we go into the new deck and the new changes I made, because I never made a video last season about this deck. So I just wanted to show my untapped stats. This deck lined up really, really well against the meta, and you could see these crazy stats over here. It was awesome. I had so much fun jamming this deck. I'm going to really quickly go over this old version. This is the old deck, don't build this. The pre-Modern Horizons version and what we were generally trying to accomplish. At the end of the day, this deck was a busted Dark Ritual deck. We were trying to use Dark Ritual to do something ahead of schedule. And we also had cards like Reanimate to be alternate ways to do things ahead of schedule. And then the card quality in the deck was just very high. Deathrite Shaman, Orcish Bowmaster, Shieldred, One Ring. These are all just very, very, very strong cards in the format. The general idea was behind this deck is that we would mulligan to a hand that either could Dark Ritual to turbo out a Ring on turn 2, or perhaps reanimate a Troll on turn 2, or perhaps just a hand that did a lot of interaction and then backed it up with an Orcish Bowmasters. Or if we were against a creature deck, we would do a Harvester Mystery hand, discard this to kill one creature, and then reanimate it to kill the entire board. I had a lot of fun with this deck, but unfortunately it's a bit outdated because there are a lot of big upgrades from MH3. So let's go over the new deck that we have. We can actually show this off in Arena instead of Mox Field because it's a little quicker to understand. So we've kept the deck very, very similar. We're still on the same plan, but we have the upgrade of Grief. One of the notable things is that we actually pulled Thoughtseize out of the deck. It's one of the recent revelations I had. Thoughtseize is bad against fair decks, and this deck really doesn't want to take more life loss when everybody's running around playing Boros aggro. So we're just going to lean on Grief for discard, and we're going to put all 4 Thoughtseize into the sideboard. Our mana base is still the same. It is a mono-black mana base with fetch lands. We have the fetch lands because of Deathrite Shaman rather than just playing basic swamps. And then we have a couple of fetchables for utility. We have the Surveil land, of course. That's a classic staple that you see a bunch of times. We have an extra green source in case we need it untapped. We often do need this for Graveyard Hate. We have Gate of the Black Dragon, which is the Baldur's Gate Alchemy card. This is fetchable. It's a swamp. A lot of people don't know that. And when the games go long, this reads draw a card, but without actually drawing a card for your opponent's Orcish Bowmasters in play. I added 1 copy of Phyrexian Tower because we have the ability to scam a Grief and then put it under the tower to make 2 mana on turn 1. And then I decided to add a Witch's Cottage over here. I used to have Takenuma in this slot. Let's do the fetchable Witch's Cottage this time. Part of the reason we're doing that is because it has the swamp type, so now everything except Phyrexian Tower in the deck is a swamp, which is really sweet. I'll segue us into the new removal spell, Consuming Corruption. This is a card that will help you stabilize after you spent a bunch of life to either scam out your creature and then reanimate it, or take a bunch of hits from an aggro deck and then reanimate your Harvester to stabilize. This card, I think, is going to perform very well. You'll see we kind of have a hodgepodge of new cards in here as I try to figure out which one is good. We have 1 copy of Persist to act as a redundant 5th copy of Reanimate. However, I'm not sure how good it's going to be because 1, it doesn't get Shieldred back. 2, it completely fails to get Bowmasters back because it'll just die. And 3, if I get back something like a Grief, he's going to be really small. So I question whether or not this card is good, but I do want to try it. Other than that, the core of the deck is very similar, except that we went down on copies of Harvester of Misery. They are now in the sideboard over here. I used to have 4 main deck before we had Grief, just so that we had a consistent number of targets to reanimate on turn 2 or 3. Other than that, the deck hasn't changed that much. We are a deck that is going to do something busted and degenerate on turn 1. We are going to hopefully scam a Grief or reanimate a Troll very, very early, and then stabilize with a One Ring. We also just get hands where we get to make a One Ring on turn 1 or 2 and just smother our opponents in card advantage. And then we also do have those very fair hands where we just go curve out Deathrite Shaman into Bowmasters into Ring, and we force our opponent to answer all of our threats. I'm very curious to see how this card is going to do in the current meta. There's a lot of people running around playing the Boros Energy deck, including myself, and being able to jam Path of Peril, Harvester of Mystery, and the Mythic Massacre should hopefully give us a really nice matchup. We also have Consuming Corruption, Fatal Push. We have a lot of things to fight back against these creature decks, and the rest of our sideboard is for the unfair decks. We have 4 Thoughtseizes, we have 3 Surgical Extractions, we have 1 extra discard spell right here, And we have the Disruptor Flutes as well. I have not played this deck since the new set has dropped. I think I have one single game with it, and not with all of these cards. So we're going to be learning this new deck together. This build is not perfect because I don't have the 100 games on it yet that I had last season, but I think this is a pretty good starting point. If you're trying to craft this deck yourself, maybe hold off on some of the mythics like Persist until we decide whether or not it is good. But I will say the 4 Griefs is a sweet upgrade. It's definitely an upgrade to Thoughtseize, and now I can run 8 Thoughtseize effects after I sideboard, which is absolutely awesome. So let's go ahead and get into some games and see how it performs. All right, we are up against Alda, rank number 452. We will be on the draw here. I don't see a companion, so I'm not sure what they will be playing. So the question is, do we want to keep this particular hand? This is an example of the fair hands that this deck can have. There is no, Grief Reanimate here. There's no Troll Reanimate. There's no Dark Rituals. But this is the kind of mid-range hands that will beat a lot of decks. I'm going to keep it in the blind. Hopefully this is a good decision. Sometimes I do like to mulligan aggressively to try to find a Dark Ritual or a Reanimate. But in the blind, I think multiple Deathrite Shamans and Bowmasters and a Shieldred is very, very strong. And we have a removal spell to interact with them if they are playing a creature deck. Right, we did end up with a Grief. We also have a Phyrexian Tower. That's interesting. We can tower away the Bowmaster token next turn to make an extra bit of mana. I think I like that game plan. And this turn, we can play a Deathrite Shaman and flash in the Bowmasters. Seems pretty sweet. No attacks. Locthwain Nykthos. They might be playing something similar to me, which is interesting. I've spent all day playing Boros, getting Boros mirrors, but now it looks like everyone's trying to put mono block. Let's flash out our Bowmasters really quick. Because older versions of this deck, I didn't mention it because I never did, but older versions of this deck played Necropotence, Nykthos, Grey Merchant, a little Devotion package. Our opponent may be playing that. Alright, they take our Fatal Push. Oh, Dark Ritual? Oh, One Ring. Cool. Yeah, so it looks like close to a mirror match. Curious why they're playing One Ring and not Necropotence if they're playing Nykthos. Good news is that we can throw out a Shieldred. Grief won't work this turn. Are there lands in graveyards? No, so we will have to sacrifice something to the tower, unfortunately. Do not need to attack. We need to play a Shieldred. Then our opponent has a Shieldred and a Bowmasters that we need to answer. Oh no, that's a lot of triggers, opponent. Alright, how you feeling over there? You alright? No, they're not feeling alright. Okay, cool. So, mirror match to start out. Not quite a mirror, because they have a little devotion package. We do not. Interesting. I'm thinking about how to sideboard against the devotion package. Do we want the surgicals to hate on potential reanimate? It seems very likely that they would play reanimate in this deck. Do we want to go after whatever creatures they might have in play? Definitely are going to want the flute for the Wonder, and perhaps Necropotence if they play it. They're probably going after our graveyard, so maybe we trim one reanimation effect. Thinking maybe the Consuming Corruption is a bit less good when we're not against an aggro deck. And then to play around a potential reanimation plan, we bring in 2 of these surgicals. I don't know if they'd be on reanimate. It would surprise me if they weren't, honest. So we should probably bring them all in. Keep the 2 for now until I confirm what they're on. All right. Get right into game 2. We'll be on the draw. Let's see what kind of a hand we got. We have a very fair one. I'm gonna keep this just because it has Bowmasters, which should be like very, very good against what they're doing. We have we have fair ways to interact. It's funny, we're not drawing the unfair half of our deck. No reanimates, no dark rituals yet. Oh, there's the dark ritual. And there's your Necro. That's interesting. I guess they're just playing one or two rings alongside Necro. I haven't seen somebody split it like that before, but it's certainly an idea. Alright, let's go ahead and grief them. If they have more dark rituals, we need to take it. Yeah, look at, wow, split of ring and Necros. That's so interesting. I haven't seen someone do that before. Very interesting. So we can answer this cleanly with the Edict. And we have Bowmasters for the ring. I think we could take this Inquisition here and play defensive with our... But this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. They have a crazy source of card advantage in play. We don't. We just pay life to draw cards. Really, my flute is what I need. Maybe this deck should have a few more flutes in it. Masters away, I think. I do want to hit my land drops. Ooh, okay. So, we could throw out our own ring here. I think that's going to be the play. Also throw out our own Shieldred, but it's very fragile. Dies to a Fatal Push that we know that they have in hand. We don't know if they have Revolt, but it should be pretty easy for them to find. And activate right now. Okay, cool. They just tap out for that. We have the Edict to answer it nice and cleanly. We can also tap our One Ring while they're tapped out and draw cards without any fear. Okay, oh, sweet. A Dark Ritual? Let's probably grief them again, right? Because we don't need all of these Shieldreds. So let's grief pitching Shieldred. Let's take their best card. Oh, you can have all those one ring. I will take green. And I'm gonna go present my own Shieldred here. I just have to be very careful about giving them Revolt. Yep, that's the One Ring protection coming through. It's gonna be tough for them to draw off of it. They're still gonna do it instead of Necro? Wild. Alright, you know, it's really interesting because they tapped out. We can actually remove this Graveyard Trespasser without worrying about giving them Revolts for the Fatal Push. That's really good. I'm also gonna do a quick little Surveil here, I think. Oh, we already did our quick little Surveil. I'll get a quick little tap land then. Let's draw a lot of cards and gain a lot of life. Alright, sweet. That's a duplicate ring for later. Like I said, we can Shieldred's Edict them and not have to worry about Revolt. So let's go ahead and do that. I know we won't be able to attack here anyway because of the ring protection, but I don't really. Our opponent is losing life for burden counters. Oh, hey, your own Shieldred. I will flash in this Bowmasters. Looks like they are going to use a Fatal Push on it right away. Makes sense. So active player, non-active player, when they're drawing on their turn, they lose the life first. Good thing to note. I will draw my card normally for turn. That is a Sweet Dark Ritual. Go ahead and draw a lot of cards. Okay, so we have some options for this turn. Let's yield through all these triggers. Okay. Probably playing the Troll is what we want to do this turn. It's interesting because yet again, we don't have to worry about Fatal Push. Could even offer to trade these Shieldreds. That could be interesting. I think I'm interested in keeping the Shieldred in play though, just because it prevents them from drawing with the One Ring on their turn, because of that player ordering. I think we're gonna Dark Ritual at this Troll here. This is a lethal attacker that I'm presenting. They don't have very many removal spells in their deck that can cleanly answer it. So we're gonna hope that this is gonna be enough. They're losing a little bit of life due to burden counters. If they draw with the One Ring here, they die, which is great for us. If they draw on my turn, they play a new One Ring. Makes total sense. And there goes my Shieldred. Can go a little lower on life. I'm not sure why they keep activating Necro. They could just be tapping the ring instead. Draw off of Shieldred. That's it. Maybe there's something I'm not realizing and they're a step ahead of me. Okay, yeah, now they're drawing. That's fine. I lose 4 here. Right, so what do we want to do here? We can't tap the ring, we would lose a lot, and I mean a lot of life if we do that. I think it's best to just play the second troll and say, hey, I now have 2 trolls that you have to answer. We could also activate this gate here and see what we hit. We could also just Legend Rule our ring, take our turn of protection. I'm into 2 trolls. Let's do 2 trolls. Wait. One goes to 7. They're going to play another One Ring for protection. That makes sense. Yeah, both of us are really just going to take our time here, huh? Yep, more Necropotencing. My turn. Really need to get the Shieldred off the board more than anything. Trying to think of ways I could do that in my deck. Draw a card. Ah, there's a Fatal Push. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and do this. Just get Revolt here. Fatal Push your Shieldred. Ooh, I should have gotten Witch's Cottage and put a Shieldred on top of my deck. That would have been smart. New card in the deck. I don't know all the patterns yet. Oh, that's rough. Oh, okay. We're gonna take some damage here, I think. Let's activate our gate, maybe? Just a little desperation dig for a Fatal Push here. Dark Ritual. Gate, please. He's so good. How does he do it? How does he find the card every time? Okay, and then we can reanimate Shieldred and go to 1 HP. How does he do it? How does he keep getting away with it? It's no fair. How does he keep doing it? Ah. We gotta make sure we tap this on our upkeep. That's why I put the stop. Ooh, never mind. I think we die. Lose. Lose to our own ring. That was a very funky game, too. Definitely do want this Graveyard Hayden. Maybe we trim the Fatal Push. Maybe we trim a Grief. We trim a Not Dead. Hmm. We'll keep the Not Dead. Let's run it back like this. Also tempted to bring in Corruption. Corruption will kill most things that push well, and it'll gain us some extra life that we could use with our One Rings. It seems pretty decent. Alright, a Funny Mirror match, game 3 coming through. Alright, good. So we can't turn One Ring because of our double tap land situation, but we could throw down a Flute on Necro and present a ring next turn, which is sweet. I will keep that because we'll have 5 mana after double Dark Ritual. So we could do ring plus Shaman. This is one of the games that I really do expect us to win. It's going to be hard for our opponent to come back. We have answers to something like a Bowmasters that they could throw down. We have answers to their Necro. It's going to be tough for them. Kind of our game to lose at this point. Oh, and a Surgical? Fantastic. Oh, and they just have nothing. Let's go ahead and grief them and see what's up. Yep, there's your Necro. And then we can clean answer Shieldred with the Edict. Shieldred dies to her own Edict, very sadly. I don't know if our opponent should have kept 5 basic swamps, plus a Necro. I think with this deck, it really rewards you for mulliganing well into busted hands with Dark Rituals, or hands with lots of interaction, and our opponent didn't have either of those things. A very cool Shieldred. Let's gain some life. Echo Burr at this point. We could grief them to pull the Shieldred out of their hand, but I would rather them spend 4 mana and then we just kill it. Because really their only out is to play the Shieldred and hope it sticks and hope they can stabilize at some point. Unlikely, but I'm sure it's their plan. Ah, a One Ring instead. I think that's fine as long as we have the Shieldred in play. They're just going to take a lot of damage. I'm really tempted, it's kind of crazy, to flute the One Ring, because I have enough card advantage at this point. Oh, DT? We got Animate, we got a DT. Oh man, a wealth of options here. Can't grief reanimate grief them because of this. I think I would love to just Legend Rule my rings to put it on 0, and then go ahead and name the One Ring. Disruptor Flute. Oh, I don't have a land to hit. I don't have enough mana for... what could I DT for? Looking at my deck list really quick. I do want to use my mana this turn. But we're going to flash and flute, so our turn could possibly be... Okay, they're just going to concede. That's fine. Do want to think about what the turn would have been. I think that's my mistake. I need to fetch there to put the 6 mana into play so that I could activate Deathheart Shaman. And then I would have played the One Ring to Legend Rule it, so I'd stop losing life, and then played Disruptor Flute. Actually, I could have just played Disruptor Flute anyway and lost 4 life. I have 29. Yeah, so this turn I'm probably going to Disruptor Flute and DT like I thought. What am I DTing for, though? The world is my oyster. Alright, that was a funny mirror match. Let's queue up again. All right. Up next against a Lurrus opponent, we have a Reanimate Troll or Scam hand here. So let's go ahead and keep this. See what they're playing up first. If they don't give me too much info, I'm just going to go ahead and scam them. Alright, not too much info was given after all. So we're going to scam them pitching the troll, because the troll is way too expensive to ever be cast, and we already have lands in hand, so we're not going to need this land sideboard. Alright. We don't need to put the tower in play either, because we don't need the double mana off of Grief. So let's go ahead, Grief, pitch troll. Alright, okay, it looks like a control deck, so we'll go ahead and take the Fatal Push, and then take the Dig Through time. Alright, it's funny, the minute I stop queuing Boros is the minute I stop hitting other Boros players. I wanted to see how this deck would do against it. Alright, so now our opponent is top decking. Pretty good. And then we're going to be able to resolve a Bowmasters against them, probably, which is also just a great card against control decks. Brainstorming before I could get my Bowmasters thrown down. They did get to see the Dark Ritual. Unfortunately, I got rid of my Troll, so I don't have anything to cast with all this extra mana. Just play another basic and pass. Let's go ahead and flash in this Bowmasters on the red step. Resolve, sweet. Looking good. Oh, and another Grief that we just paid for. That's great. I'm gonna go ahead and put our little token in the tower instead of using our Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual could be very useful depending on what we draw. And our opponent is getting out of here. Alright, sweet. So I said I took the Thought Seizes out of the main deck, but against control, we're gonna bring them all back in. We're gonna probably take this Harvester out. We're probably gonna take these Consuming Corruptions out. A lot of the creature removal can come out. And then let's think. What are they gonna bring in for sideboard pieces? What's their hate for us gonna be? Can we answer it? And they might hit our graveyard, but what's really cool about this is even though this is a Grief Reanimate deck, it does win around graveyard hate by just jamming one. You don't have to counter sideboard as much as you think. I'll probably take Fatal Pushes out. Would I rather have a Consuming Corruption over a Fatal Push? Maybe. Would I rather that card be a Disruptor Flute? Maybe a Surgical Extraction? I like the idea of Surgical Extraction if we're packing 9 discard spells. Just like the straight up the idea of, oh, we see 2 Brainstorms in their hand, let's go ahead and Surgical it. Oh, they milled a Treasure Cruise and they're ready to pop off with it? Because they have a bunch of cards in the graveyard, they could cast another Treasure Cruise, we could Surgical it. Bit of a loose sideboarding, but I think it's better than a Fatal Push against a deck that's playing pretty much no creatures. Alright, unfortunately we can't keep this one. This is 1 land away from glory. Alright, this is a Reanimate Grief deck, Grief hand against the control deck. Looks pretty good. We're going to put back this extra Troll. We're going to pitch the Shieldred to our Grief so that we can use Troll to hit our second land drop. We'll Persist as well. Cool. Alright, let's see what you got. Alright, you got Bowmasters. Can let them bolt the Grief. And we'll take the Bowmasters. I don't mind too much if they spend their time bolting it. So we're going to get them down to 0 spells if they do decide to bolt our Grief, which is awesome. Which sets ourselves up to persist the Troll, and hopefully that Troll can stick and win the game. You take our persist, so the persist troll plan isn't going to happen, unfortunately. Go ahead and see what's on top of the deck. We've successfully gotten both decks into top decking mode. The cool thing is that we have a 1 ring in our hand and they don't, so we should be able to rebuild faster and better. We could also just randomly draw a card like Reanimate that will win the game on the spot. We could also just randomly draw a card like Dark Ritual that will ramp us out into the ring and win on the spot. We have a couple of cool win on the spot type draws that our opponent's fair control deck just doesn't have. Looks like they might just put their Lurrus into their hand here. Oh, Shadow. Okay, cool. This deck's a little different than I thought. I thought they were more of a hard control deck. Looks like not. Ooh, drawing another ring is pretty poor. But we do have a lot of good draws to get out of this. Okay, so we're going to want our Fatal Pushes back in. Interesting. Just from what I saw, I assumed that they were a control deck. So we definitely don't want like cute surgical extraction tech. We do want Fatal Pushes. So we'll do this Shieldred's Edict after they spend their mana on Lurrus. Okay, if they're going to make me do it now, I will do it now. Thankfully, we have this redundant ring, so my opponent's Thoughtseize is not too great right now. Ooh, and I get to take their Lurrus. Okay. Well, here we are, top deck mode, boys. I'm a little less afraid of their deck now that I've learned it's Shadow and not hard control. Oh, there goes my ring. Not dead after all, without any creatures, unfortunately. And there's a Bloodstained Mire, so what's really cool is we can put Grief on top of our deck. Interesting. This lets us get a Witch's Cottage. Go ahead, pass. So I'm interested in Witch's Cottage, put something on top of my deck right now. Put Grief on top of my deck. What's my other option? I could also just get a Gate. Doesn't feel great. I think I'd rather draw Grief than a random card. The only issue is that Grief does kind of just die to Fatal Push. So what I might do is I might just hold it for a turn. Maybe we'll draw land. I like this idea. We're going to hold on to the Grief. Now they used this, so they won't necessarily have Revolts next turn. The next turn, I think I might just jam this Grief no matter what. Oh, Valky, take my Grief. Nice. Looks like they have the Valky combo, among other things. Alright. Oh, hey, it's another Grief. So I get to take your Fatal Push. We're in a rough situation, though, because this Death Shadow is going to kill us. Love to know my top card, but I don't think I get to know here. Okay, they're gonna make me chump block here. They're gonna make me chump block here. See if that top card's helpful. Oh, that actually is kind of helpful. Do they have something really good to reanimate? I could reanimate Lurrus. Ooh. Reanimate Lurrus, and then nothing much after that, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think reanimate Lurrus is going to be enough. I could reanimate a Shadow and then revolt at 5 HP. Ooh, that's probably the best thing I could do, right? Hmm. Right, reanimate Lurrus doesn't work because I don't have anything else to buy back for cheap. Reanimate Troll kills me. Reanimate Grief doesn't work either because they can just menace around it. Yeah. Fortunately, I don't think I have a reanimate target that is good enough here. Alright, game 3, so let's go ahead and take that out. Let's put in pushes, maybe some consuming corruptions. So they're not a control deck, so I'm a lot less interested in this hand hate, actually. But they do still have a lot of controlling elements, don't get me wrong. So perhaps two Thoughtseize would be pretty good. But I do want to be able to kill all of their Death Shadows and friends on site. So sideboarding like this seems pretty good. Disruptor Flute's not needed for anything. Meat Hook I think is a little bit too much. Their creatures are too big. I would maybe bring in Path of Peril. Maybe. The one thing that concerns me about the Valky card that we saw here, it means they're probably playing the Valky Jace combo, so maybe I do want more hand hate. Maybe I do want a Flute for that. I think we're going to run it like this. Since we are on the play, staying close to our main deck configuration does give us a really good chance to have a busted turn 1 and pull ahead. Play first. Alright. Okay, we got it. We got Grief Reanimate, we got some Dark Rituals. Let's go for it. I think here I'm most interested in just Grief Reanimate pitching Consuming Corruption. Ooh, we got a lot of stuff going on. Shadow, Lightning Bolt, Thoughtseize, Bowmasters. What's the spookiest one here? Probably protecting my own hand is very important, and getting the Bowmasters is pretty important. So I'm going to take these two, and they're probably going to bolt my Grief. That'll leave them with two shadows that they can't play yet. That seems pretty good to me. Take the Thoughtseize. Take the Bowmasters. Maybe let them keep the Bowmasters. Right, they will bolt my Grief as predicted, leaving them with just the shadows in hand. Ooh, now that's a good card. That's sweet. Another reanimate too? It's Christmas. Add some mana really quick. Dark Ritual. I'm gonna play B1 Ring. Now, if they flash in a Bowmasters, we have a really cute line where we can reanimate their Bowmasters to kill the Bowmasters. Otherwise, I think we might just reanimate Grief again. Another Grief! Alright. Let's keep the Griefs coming, I guess. If they have a Surgical here, I'm gonna be mad because I just drew one. Oh, I'm mad about that. Oh well. We have a ring in place, so we could rebuild. It's not the end of the world. Definitely puts us in a sketchy situation, though, against multiple shadows about hit play. They might shock here, just so that they can play shadows next turn. They don't. Put away the push, even though they're against the Deathrite Shaman. Interesting. Looks like they got a cruise here. Big. Okay. Digging for answers. Maybe they got some flutes in their deck. Not much I can do, other than like aggressively activate the ring and try to rebuild as quick as possible. Maybe something I could have done is put a little graveyard pressure on with the Deathrite Shaman, but I did exile one of their lands to pay for the mana ability. I don't think there's more I could have done. It might be shocking here and playing a Shadow to start threatening me. Yep. Okay. There's a Shelley's Edict. That seems like a really good way to answer this Shadow. We could do that on their turn. Because I could also answer it just by flashing at Bowmasters and blocking. Though not now that they've played a Bloodstained Mire. They can pay life whenever to make this grow. I was thinking maybe I could ping and block it, the 1/1. Okay. Bowmasters number 2 that we knew about. Or not Bowmasters, Death Shadow number 2. We draw a Bowmasters number 2. Opponent looks like they have Bowmasters number 1. I will say no, I don't think so. Alright, cool. I think I'm going to save the Slotsies for when they pay 3 mana to put Lurrus into their hand, but I am very interested in playing this Deathrite Shaman. Deathrites can hopefully help us close out the game. I am starting to get a little scared of my life total and scared of the shadows, but we can Legend Rule our ring to stop the bleeding if we don't draw a Shieldred. We also have a bajillion Fatal Pushes in our deck to draw. So they're not putting Lurrus into hand, instead they're doing Expressive. It's fine, I think I'm going to keep holding the Thoughtseize for Lurrus, because it is a lose condition. Them being able to like recur the shadows will kill me eventually, I'm sure. We're winning the long game right now, and we can't allow them to do anything that lets them compete in that long game. I think we could take 1 hit. Can we take 1 hit? Is this 1/1 token really worth it to me? No, it's not. Yeah, our opponent was totally ready to shock and fetch there. Another Shadow. Okay. They will be drawing a card. We will be able to clear this blocker. Let's draw. Yo, where's that Shieldred at? Alright, what we will be doing instead is just Legend Ruling the Ring. I'm just thinking through all my lines really quick and what exactly I want to do, because I have a lot of cards and a lot of mana available to me this turn. I think our best way that we're going to win this game is just with Deathrite Shaman pings. They're down to 9. So we're going to Ritual Ring. We're going to use the Ritual to put out the ring, just so that we can hold up the Deathrite Shaman abilities as well. We can also flash out 8 Bowmasters if we so choose. The Ritual Ring, we are now officially stable. And we are just a couple of Deathrite Shaman activations away from victory. Opponent is going to EI to keep looking for answers. I could also start drawing cards with this ring if we wanted to. We do have another one to Legend Rule after all. We could also gain life with our Deathrite Shaman if it starts to look dodgy. There is Jace, so they could get the Jace combo online. Plotting. See if it's Valky. It is Valky. Okay, so they get a flip Tibalt next turn. But I think we have lethal if they don't have an answer to these Deathrite Shamans, unless I'm mistaken. So we hit an instant in their bin. Big Shadow. Bigger Shadow. Okay. Do have a Fatal Push for one of these. Oh, there's his Shieldred. Fantastic. So I think now they are going to... one sec. Let's play the Shieldred. Draw some cards. And then we could do one more Shaman activation. We can knock them to 1. I know 1 is not 0, but I don't think that they can recover just even by playing this flipped Valky Tibble, which is kind of crazy. So they're going to go to 3 here. Deathrite Shaman can send them to 1. And then it's just a Bowmaster ping and they're dead. They are going to have these 10-10s, but we can block them. Exile the Shieldred? Makes sense. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. We're going to put a stop in our upkeep. We might want to take some actions there. But it will be... Okay, yeah, Opponent gave up, unfortunately. Yeah, they don't really have outs because we could always just Deathrite Shaman now, Deathrite Shaman again in our upkeep. We could flash in a Bowmasters in our upkeep. We win on our upkeep, so no hope for them. This is a cool Shadow build, though. Playing the Tibalt Chase combo in the Shadow deck. It's pretty sweet. Maybe opponent forgot about AppNap and didn't realize my triggers go through first. A lot of players don't know that. The non-active player, aka me, since it's not my turn, always gets to resolve their triggers first. Alright, let's see if we can do one more with this cool deck. Alright. We're on the play again against an unknown deck, no companion. This hand is not good enough to keep on the play. It doesn't really do much. We're going to mulligan it. We're going to look for something more explosive. Alright, this hand, this has a lot of juice in it. It doesn't have like an instant way to present the ring early. It doesn't have like an instant way to, scam the grief. But what we can do is we can 0-mana grief. Send it under the Phyrexian Tower. Demonic Tutor. Demonic Tutor gets us a Dark Ritual. Next turn, Dark Ritual can put out a 1. So we actually do end up with a pretty busted turn, too. I think we have to put the Shieldred back. We need all these other pieces to make it work. So let's go ahead and hold full control here. And then we're going to evoke this. And we get to see their hand and make sure that that plan that I just described isn't too fragile to whatever strategy they're running. We get Demonic Tutor for a different card if it's needed. Oh, hey, what are you doing, buddy? Hey, buddy, old pal, listen up. What is this? What's my take here? Do I lose to a bunch of Deathrite Shamans? I think Ritual Ring is still going to be good here. That's what we're doing next turn. Question is, do we want to take the Dark Ritual from them? Dark Ritual's not doing anything for their hand right now, but it is going to allow them to be explosive. I think that's probably the best card to take because I'm going to assume they're also playing some silly cards like mine, like my deck. We're playing Dark Ritual, or we're playing One Ring and other payoffs for Ritual, so I think we're going to take that. If it was one Deathrite Shaman in their hand, I would probably take the Deathrite Shaman. Fatal Push doesn't screw me up. Ashiok, it's a card, but it's going to be too slow to do anything here. I'm going to DT. And we're going to grab the Dark Ritual, like I said. And then this One Ring is going to draw us like a dozen cards. So even though we mold to 6, and now we've literally spent every card in our opening hand to produce this turn 2 One Ring, even though we did that, we're still going to be able to pull back the card advantage. Just because of how powerful the One Ring is, and the fact that our opponent doesn't have an answer. We could also persist the Grief whenever, but getting the One Ring going is so much more powerful, so I'm definitely going to do that instead. Alright, pretty cool Dark Ritual. Let's see what we got here. Nothing right away, so I think we're just going to play the Deathrite Shaman and persist our other card in our graveyard. Deathrite Shaman, and then persist is just going to take whatever card out of their hand. Doesn't really matter. I mean, it does matter, obviously. We're going to make the decision once we see their hand. Ooh, Reanimate. Yeah, that's a spooky one. I can't let them have access to this card. So now we're just looking to draw a Shieldred or another card that will help us close out the game off of this One Ring. Sweet, so we can Legend Rule the Ring whenever we want at this point. And we could just play another Grief Fair for its mana cost. It seems pretty good to me. Let's go to combat and attack with this Grief first, though. Starting to get a little scared of my opponent being able to activate Deathrite Shaman again and again and again. We'll see what happens. I think I can let them have Flare of Malice and Ashiok. Both cards aren't going to do anything against me. If they Flare of Malice me, I'm just going to sacrifice this Persistent Grief. He's tiny. Like, keep in mind, Grief and Shieldred have the same mana cost. So, I get to pick between them if I do get a Shieldred into play later. They can play this Ashiok, they can mill me, I really don't care. Oh, they're going to mill themselves, very interesting. I do have this fetch land in hand. It's a little awkward, but it's really not that bad. Ah, there's my good old Shieldred. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn all of my cards sideways. And maybe I just want to reanimate a Deathrite Shaman from their side of the board. I think that might help me quite a bit. We also Grief their Flare, but I don't really see a reason to do that. Put a stop here on my upkeep. Go ahead, Dark Ritual. Play the Shieldred. Spend another mana reanimating their Deathrite Shaman to help compete. Of course, go with a Grief or an Ent instead, but I don't think the Grief really helps that much. It would be a bit too much life loss otherwise. They can't actually double tap their Shaman here, I just realized, to prevent this. Maybe a bad play then. But this is more time they have to spend increasing their own life instead of decreasing mine. I'm concerned about going to 0 here, to be honest. Alright, opponent needs to have a Shieldred answer show up. That's not it, because I can just sacrifice the Grief, as I said before. And even if the Shieldred answer shows up, I can just keep going. I can just draw 5 cards off of the One Ring next turn and Legend Rule it. Yep, and that's going to be game 1. Cool, so this looks like just the Jin Scam list I played against in the tournament. Inskin Boo, pretty cool stuff. So, I think we would want the Surgical here. Interesting. We keep getting a couple of scam matchups. I wanted to play against Boros. I wanted to play my own deck. Well, we'll do the same thing that we did before. We're just gonna cut a Harvester since we're not against a heavy creature deck. We're gonna cut this because I'm expecting some graveyard hate, and I want to be able to play through it a little bit better. And the last cut, probably keep the Fatal Push just because they are a very threat-dense version of the deck. Maybe we can cut the Demonic Tutor because it's a little slow. Maybe we can cut the Grief because they have a lot of redundancy in their deck. Maybe we got Not Dead after all. No, it's really good against their black removal defensively. I think we got the DT. It's a little slow. I know that did enable a busted hand this time, but they're going to be beating us down at Minsk and Booze. They had a very awkward start, and we were going first. We're not going first this time. All right, Mulligan here. Unfortunate. So we're gonna have to keep this one, unfortunately. We could go to 4, but I don't think that's ever gonna help us. Go into 4. I think what we should do is we put these 2 cards back. We keep a removal spell, a Deathrite Shaman, and then we evoke Grief. We'll have to get rid of the removal spell to evoke the Grief, unfortunately. Oh, wow. Perfect draw. Very lucky. So let's hold full control here. Getting rid of the Edict. We want to play Deathrite Shaman next turn. That's why I'm getting rid of Edict. Deathrite Shaman will help us with being stuck on a 1-lander. Well, I should resolve this trigger first, before I Not Dead. Okay. Interesting. Am I still interested in making the Grief body, though? I think I am. I think I'm still gonna do this. Like, we need this threat in play. This dies, it comes back into play. So this is a 4-power attacker right now. I'm gonna have to hope this is enough. We had to mulligan really deep here. And I don't think we're very likely to win if we can't present a quick threat and maybe punish them if they happen to stumble a little bit. We're gonna attack for 4 menace every single turn and hope it's enough. It might not be enough. I'm really not hopeful about this game. Okay, well, we need to draw a Dark Ritual, and then maybe we can get back into it. I'll play another Deathrite Shaman. There's Bowmasters. Surprised they didn't try to block Wraith with it. Go ahead and attack with Grief. Start here. Oh, they lose the Deathrite? Okay, so maybe I can activate Deathrite a bunch to win this game. They lose 1. Like, it's 4 Deathrite activations and they lose. Not sure why they would sack Deathrite here. They're gonna Surgical my Grief? That's unfortunate, because I do have 1 in hand. Hey, 1 ring, but, like, someone's gonna lose life here. Stabilization is not guaranteed for them. Like, if I draw a basic swamp, they die in their upkeep, right? Oh, that's not quite a basic swamp, but it is my second land drop. Oh, I should have probably gotten a Golgari land. Still, they're very close to dead. Okay, there's your Shieldred. So, tough luck for me. If only we hit another basic, then we could have won. Yeah, I do not think we could do it at this point. I drew my own Shieldred. Maybe we could have the Shieldred mirror going on. Oh, how does he do it? Oh, no, 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 no! Cancel. Ah, I did that in upkeep by accident. Okay, we'll concede. We're probably going to lose that anyway. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go to game 3. It's a shame you can't undo that one because it's not a mana ability. Alright, sweet. We have a all-in on Scam Grief starting hand, and I honestly think that's fine here. We will have to top deck pretty well after this, but I do want to prevent my opponent from doing anything too funny. I'll just do the not dead right now, because they're tapped out. There's no reason to wait on the timing. Okay, okay. So we're definitely going to take a reanimate, because it's spooky from them. We can even take the flare. What do we want to take here? The reanimate and Deathrite would slow them down the most. They could grief us back, but I don't care. Take that reanimate. Also taking that Deathrite Shaman. And then they're kind of just stuck spinning their wheels and hoping to draw lands. They might grief us for 0 mana. I kind of hope they do. We're ahead by so much for you. Oh, they got rid of a Dark Ritual? What are you doing? Well, they're going to flare the griefs to trade. What? You didn't flare the griefs to trade? Okay. Well. Looks like we're ahead. What they should have done is sacrificed grief to flare. Maybe they forgot to hold full control. Then they would have traded griefs. I would have had nothing on the board. Or they could have not done that and done Dark Ritual for Ring. Sweet, now we get to play our Bowmasters. We could Veil here to cycle, I don't particularly mind. Yeah, I could even shoot my Grief to prevent them from stifling this trigger. Let's do that. I like my 1/1. Shoot my Grief again. Let's go ahead and surveil really quick. You do not need a 5th land, not right now. And we're going to be able to play a One Ring next turn. That's awesome. We also have pretty much lethal on board. We have 7 damage plus if Grief dies, it's 1 more damage, and that will be enough for our opponent to scoop it up. Alright, usually I'd end the video, but honestly, I kind of want to get one more game in to hopefully play against a aggro deck. Because we keep playing like scam variants. I want to play against something else that's in the meta. Well, I played against Death Shadow, but no Boros yet. I've been spamming Boros all weekend and keep getting Boros mirrors. I wanted to beat Boros with my non-Boros deck. Let's try it. Alright, we're on the draw this game. With a hand that does turn 1 Deathrite Shaman and then turn 2 Shieldred. I think this is good enough. We'll keep it on 7. Here the Orphan Guard tells me that they are probably going to be playing a non-black scam variant, so like a Beanstalk or an Omnath scam deck. Does that change my opinion on keeping Shieldred? I think go in second, we're going to be a little bit at the mercy of Solitude no matter what. I wonder how this matchup is going to be. Let's see. This is definitely a deck I want to know if I'm good against. And I want to think about how to sideboard if we're not. So we're just going to play our Deathrite Shaman out this turn. Alright, Swords, you got it. We can still present the turn 2 Shieldred here. We also choose Bowmasters instead. I would love to Thoughtseize them. You know, sometimes I just have to, like, speak of the devil. Grief plus Not Dead After All is going to be the play here. So let's go ahead and pitch the Troll. We'll keep Dark Ritual and Shieldred because they're very powerful cards. Same with Bowmasters. Alright, we're going to Thoughtseize them before we do the Not Dead After All, because if they have something like a Swords to Plowshares, we get to take it. Alright, ooh, we get to take their whole hand? We get to do it all. Alright. So I'm a little worried for this game. I'm not worried because I think we're losing. I'm worried because I think I've used up all my luck today. I asked for a Thoughtseize, and I just got it. I asked for, I think, a Dark Ritual or something earlier, and I got it as well. I think I asked for a Shieldred once, and I also got it. That's like 3 one-times in a single video. That's a bit too much. Alright, let's go ahead and Surveil. Hitting 3rd land naturally would be pretty nice. But if not, we just get to play Shieldred. It's pretty cool. Yeah, let's just turbo out this Shieldred here. So this seems like the version of Elementals that's built super as a control deck. They're probably playing Mana Drain to power out this One Ring. They're not playing the greedy mana base. Ooh, nice. Nice verdict. They're not playing the super greedy mana base that I've seen like other versions run, where you're playing Fury and Beans and also the blue cards and the white cards. It's too much. Let's go ahead and throw this out. A great last card for us to have, and I'm loving the addition of Witch's Cottage. I wasn't playing it before, but now we just get to put our Shieldred back into play. We're dead to another Verdict. Something I could do to play around another Verdict? Oh. That's so good. Just put a Shieldred back in my hand. It would have to have the Verdict. Oh, they can Mystic Sanctuary for it, can't they? Forgot about that card. No, I totally played this wrong. Yeah, they Mystic Sanctuary for the Supreme Verdict. I'm sorry. That's me screwing up. I need to not play this Shieldred. I need to just be disciplined and hold it. I'm sorry, I forgot that they could do that. Yeah. Unlike some Elemental decks, this is Mystic Sanctuary, and I keep calling them an Elemental deck. The reason I do that is because Kira does allow Elementals. Ooh, we get to Persist. Not the Shieldred. Oh, this is why Persist sucks. We can't Persist Bowmasters or Shieldred. Wow. What a shame. Yeah, what a shame. It's the 2 cards in our deck that Persist doesn't work with. It does work with Grief, it does work with Troll, it does not work with these. Alright, opponent's at 5, so maybe we could still squeeze out a win. They lose to their own rank, but they'll have Teferi to reset it, so probably not. Yeah, I made a big mistake this game. I flooded the board with a Grief and Bowmasters at the same time that I didn't need to. That's on me. We can go ahead and fetch with Gate of the Black Dragon here, so the game is really not over, but our opponent is probably going to hold up Mana Drain for the rest of the game, so maybe it is. Really cool to see a variety of decks today, though. Like, I was getting tired of Boros mirrors all day, so I stopped playing it. But you know, if everyone's done playing Boros, I think I'm gonna go back and keep queuing with it. Keep queuing with maybe 4 copies of Flage. Flage is nuts. I love Flage. Alright, we're seeking, boys. Are they gonna stifle my seek? No. That'd be so toxic. That'd be rude, stifling my seek. They might not have a mana drain here because they tap pretty low. Ooh, Bowmaster. We do have to play at sorcery speed, unfortunately. I agree. Which would I rather do? Well, they have protection from everything, so the answer is kind of obvious. We're gonna Bowmasters. And then the mana drain's gonna come in, and then I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry on the inside. Well, it has resolved for now. No, it hasn't. We do get to grief them next turn, which is pretty good. We're not going to cast grief for free. If we had another black card not named Persist in our hand, we could consider doing it. Well, and if they didn't have protection from the ring, of course. But even without the ring protection, I would not be evoking the grief here. Opponent's at 3. I do need to find a way to reset the ring. Or find another ring. They just need another ring, another Teferi, some life gain. Maybe they don't have it, and this little 1/1 gets in there, and it makes lethal happen. Brainstorm. Uh-oh, they might not have it. We might see a scoop. Oh, they're just putting the blocker out? Okay. Okay, boys. What's my sequencing here? Back first. Maybe we can get them to spew a removal spell on this little 1/1. Little 1/1 that good. Alright, cool. Now let's grief you. Oh, mana drain might be coming through. Yeah. So, follow-up question, do we want to evoke grief them? I think the answer is still no. They don't have another One Ring in hand right now. Otherwise, they would have played it. Instead of, like, throwing away that Swords to Plowshares. They do have a few opportunities to find another ring, but they have to find it.
This might be a bad idea.
Alright, how we feeling over there, opponent? You alright? Hey, Solitude is hitting the battlefield. Are you going to Solitude your own Solitude now? Gain some life. Certainly an option. I wouldn't recommend it. Oh my god, they did! Look at that. Oh, man. That's funny. Our opponent's on a knife's edge over here. Okay, sweet. Let's go ahead and play a grief and then maybe persist another grief. No more lies. Dang. Really got hit by the no more lies in Timeless. Ooh. Multiple no more lies. Interesting. Alright, our opponent's gonna go to 1. They can bounce the ring now, so yeah, I'm pretty sure.
This is hard.
But until they gain life, they are a Bowmaster ping away from death. So I'm not gonna concede.
Sorry,
Are we scooping a big T? I mean, they're literally a Bowmaster ping from death, so I have difficulty thinking I should scoop in this situation. But like, they have a gazillion cards in hand and mana up, so maybe it's hopeless. Maybe it's a one more draw step kind of situation. There's what I asked for. I mean, this is theoretically what wins the game. It just needs to resolve at some point.
Let's skip
I
to
don't
the
want them to draw a card. I'm gonna see if I can like bait them into maybe just activating Call the Storm Giants to try and kill me. They do have to try and kill me at some point. But I'll get them to tap their mana. You're out. Trying to think of the ideal time to resolve this Bowmasters. I think our window might have passed. Interesting. Maybe I don't let them look 3 deeper for an answer. It's either they have a counterspell right now or they don't. And no more lies won't work. Looks like they do. Yeah, you win. Alright, so against control, we want all these hand-hate spells in. Unfortunately, we have not played against aggro, where we get to bring in the Peril, the Harvester, and the Meat Hook. I was looking forward to that matchup and seeing whether or not my deck could survive it, but I guess I'll have to queue a bit more ranked after this. Pushes out, Interruption out, Loot in. Edict can stay. What else could come out? What's the worst out of all of these cards? Flute's a little rough naming the ring, as we also have the ring. I do want this to stay in for Teferi. You want all my Deathrite Shamans to stay in as well. I wonder what comes out here. Not sure. Maybe just Deathrite Shaman. Maybe this Persist card kind of just sucks. But Persist is not the play, and I'm gonna cut it. It just looks so awkward there. I can't reanimate the actual 2 good reanimation targets I often want to hit in Shield-Driven Bowmasters. It can get the Troll on turn 2, which is really sweet, but it is a BB Troll when it gets it. Alright, here, I'm going to keep this. I don't know if I'm going to turn 0 Grief them. I might. I think about it at least. See what's on top here. Another Bowmaster. Let's turn 0 Grief them. We could beat them with these Bowmasters. Yeah, I think maybe I could have waited another turn. Sword, Scolding, Mana Drain. Thanks. Maybe we can't beat him with the Bowmasters. Maybe I was supposed to do my Surveil after the Grief, because I was hoping that the information on what's on top of my deck would inform my discard. Now maybe I should have done it the other way around, so I could see what's in their hand and then say, oh no, this Bowmaster is just going to die to the Stern Scolding. Interesting. Oh, this is kind of rough. I think I'll take the Mana Drain. I don't love the situation that we're in, though. He did shock in, so we're just gonna pass. I think I might hold off on these Bowmasters even longer. Just not do it for a while. Yeah, we'll Bowmasters now on their end step, and hopefully that gets them to use whatever counterspell they have, and then we can resolve the ring cleanly. That's probably my way to win this game. Go ahead, throw this out. Hopefully our opponent didn't draw a 2-mana counterspell here for the ring. If they did draw it, it would have to be something like No More Lies, not Mana Drain. Oh, they let this resolve because they want to keep their Mana Drain up, probably. Alright. So because of that, I think I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna wait another turn to play my ring. I need them to tap out here. Really want them to use their mana. They are going to play Teferi. Cool. So let's go ahead and throw this Bowmasters into play. They might start scolding it. Looks like they will. That means I'll be able to resolve the One Ring and at least draw a card off of it. And hopefully they like Teferi bounce my little token instead of just blessing and waiting for me to play a One Ring. That would be really nice. We'll scold. Alright, cool. Now please bounce my token so that I can not get my One Ring bounced. Yes. Okay, so with that good sequencing, we put ourselves in a position to cleanly resolve the One Ring and then keep it in play. It's the kind of things you have to think about when you're playing against control. I also think it would be pretty sweet to go ahead and put one of these creatures on top of my deck. Either the Bowmasters or the Grief. I like the Grief. Let's do Grief. Go ahead, I tap like that, just in case I draw a 1-draw. We didn't, we drew another ring, but another ring is fantastic. So we get to grief them next turn, that's cool. And we get to draw probably a bajillion cards, unless this One Ring dies to like a Leyline Binding. They're not playing Leyline Binding in this mana base, though. They're going to put the Drain on top. That would be very understandable. No, they'll put Swords on top for a potential creature threat that comes. Okay. Fine. I'll hold off on the really strong threats for a little bit, then. We'll start just with Grief. We draw some cards out here. Okay, so I get to take a look at that hand. What you got? Share your secrets. Oh, that was really sweet. That instant speed Lorien revealed. I like it. May I take a look, please? Okay. Oh, only one hit. It's 2 Solitudes. So we're gonna have to beat those. I get to grief one of them, but it's still gonna be another Solitude that's gonna hit play and then maybe get bounced by a Teferi. Oh, they also might just pitch cast them right now, which I think is a mistake. I think what they should have done is just hard cast the Solitude next turn. I take one, they get to keep the other. Well, they don't know I don't have a Scam effect or a Reanimate effect, right? In their mind, they could very easily be losing both of them with Overgrown Tomb here, ready to cast the Scam effect. Especially considering I purposely put Shieldred on top of my deck, it could lead them to think that I have the Scam effect. Shieldred? Demonic Tutor for what? DT for what, Joe? I don't know. Probably DT for Reanimate. Or maybe even just a redundant Shieldred. Because the thing I would reanimate is Shieldred. Let's go ahead and fetch out a basic. I do want to saturate my mana. I think I'm just going to DT for Shieldred number 2. If they counter this right now, it's DT for Reanimate. Oh, yeah. Dark Ritual, DT, Reanimate. Reanimate, please. Welcome back, Shieldred. Could also take a Solitude, which would be fun. Yes, they can Teferi bounce my Shieldred, but it's really not the end of the world. I'll just replay it. Looking good. Oh, it looks like we have something that can go at instant speed. They draw a Solitude. White mana. Okay. This is still your whatchamacallit, draw step opponent. Don't screw up like I did last game. Oh, Otawara it? Sure, you can Otawara. That's fine. I'm happy to have you tap out. You really should have used your mana drain mana on that, but whatever. And they can bounce my shaman, or they can bounce my ring. Yeah, I think they messed up their sequencing. They were supposed to use the mana drain mana to channel that Odawara and put the Kihira into their hand. They got confused by the shield trigger like I did last game. We're going aggro. I like it. No blocks. Fair, but then I just get to replay that for protection. So I love that line by our opponent. Now they can't attack me again, and I'll be able to gain so much life by the time they actually can. Arc Ritual! We can reanimate their Solitude too whenever we want, which is awesome. Might hit their Kihira with their own Solitude. That would make them a bit salty, I'm sure. It also just reanimates something like a Bowmaster's. How you feeling, opponent, with that life loss? You alright over there? So, do I have a redundant Shieldred? No, because I DT'd for Reanimate instead of another Shieldred before. But Death Ray Shaman is still lethal right here, so we're going to be going to game 3. Game 3. Fun matchup against, like, traditional blue-white control. Happy to see somebody still playing it. Alright. So that first hand was not keepable, unfortunately. This hand also doesn't look great. Doesn't look like it's doing the bust stuff that we're looking to do. So we're gonna go... I want to go lower, but I think we have to. Alrighty. Oh, look at these cool cards. Turn 1 Troll, welcome back to the club. It's gonna be really freaky, but maybe we put a DT back. Because I'm thinking, hear me out. What we're gonna do on turn 1 is we're gonna do these 3 cards, and of course play the land drop, and then we just flute it up for naming the One Ring or whatever other silly card they're gonna have. Honestly, let's just keep the DT instead. It's just more flexible. We could take our time getting a flute out of our deck if we need it. And this plan, it's not a great plan, I'm gonna be honest. It just dies to a swords. We're gonna be looking really silly, maybe. But we had to mold a 5 because we had some hands that really weren't there. What's sweet is now we actually get to play a Death Rate Shaman, another redundant threat. So Dark Ritual me, cycle me, give me a basic. Welcome back. Spell Pierce would be absolutely cool. Does it not happen? So a Swords to Plowshares or a Solitude would also be pretty brutal. It would reset us back to 18 HP, sure, but there goes our threat. Our opponent would have plenty of time to stabilize on control. But if they don't have it in the first 2 turns of the game, we do just win off of this troll. It's a very rough hand to keep. I don't think we had another choice. I don't think we could go to 4 there. Troll. Get in there. We also DT for a One Ring. If we think we can resolve it. Do we think we can resolve it? Wow, they're taking the hit. I don't think I'm going to waste my time DTing. I think I'm just going to activate Shaman and get them as close to 0 as quick as possible. Is a redundant Shaman good? I don't think so, because he's going to have Summoning Sickness. We're looking to end this game in the next 3 turns. I'm into brainstorming out here. Oh, I'm nervous. Either this game ends or it doesn't in the next 2 minutes. So with no more interaction, our opponent is theoretically dead next turn. 4 damage off of 2 Shaman activations and 6 off of a Troll. Looks like they got a Solitude right here right now. We do have a Solitude right here right now. Interesting. Oh no, that's a big Teferi, not a little one. If it was a little Teferi, I would have wondered why they pitched it instead of just playing it to bounce. Right, and very interesting that they're going after Shaman means they probably found another answer. They probably have a Teferi to bounce this or something. A little 3-mana Teferi. Okay. Looks like we get to attack here. Hello? Oh, okay, they go to 2. What am I DTing for? I think I DT for a reanimate, right? No more lives, understandable. But they won't have enough mana for a board wipe next turn, because they're only on 2 lands. So, let's go ahead and resolve this. So this is lethal once we untap. Yes, Naked Seed, awesome. Okay, it was a really nice mulligan decision by me. It was risky, but it worked out. Okay, that's cool. Up to rank 33 Mythic with this cool deck. I like it. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna keep working on this deck. It's a little awkward right now. I think the Persist definitely has to go. I didn't get enough chances to cast Consuming Corruption to see whether or not it was good, but I kind of think it should be good. It's a real shame that Persist isn't good. I feel like I need more consistent reanimate effects in this deck, but like there's nothing that compares to actual factual reanimate in this format for the time being. Back up to 2 Harvesters, because Harvester was so good last season before we got MH3. Yeah, I'll make another video on this absolutely with some tweaks here. I think we do still have a pretty good deck here. I want to play Boros, but I haven't gotten it yet. All right, thanks for watching, folks.